Welcome in to another edition of the Louisiana Loaded podcast. I'm your host, Jordy Collada, joined by my co-host, Willie Helmers, as always, and our producer, Brandon, who is here with us every single week. Looking forward to today's broadcast, as we are going to be joined by a special guest. Director of Athletics over at LSU, Verge Ausberry, is going to join us for what we're looking forward to, a really in-depth conversation of the state of not only LSU athletics right now, but just college athletics as a whole, as Verge, who was kind of thrust in this position a couple of months ago, and since then, a whirlwind has happened. So looking forward to our conversation coming up.
Right when he stepped in. I'm looking forward to it. He's going to have some great insight, and let's see what he has to say. Yeah,
I mean, the state of the basketball program, we'll obviously ask him about the new facility, whether that could possibly happen. And then obviously with what's going on in the world of college athletics, it's just such a different game than it was 3-5 years ago. And I feel like it's going to be totally different 3 to 5 years from now.
Who knows what it's going to be? And I'll be interested to hear what he thinks from an AD perspective. And he's got a lot of different insight than anybody else that anybody knows.
He really does. Well, I mean, when you think about it, he played for LSU in the 80s.
Right.
He came right out of that job and got into administration. So he has seen all of LSU. And he's seen, kind of the golden age of the athletics, of the football program, to everything that's gone on with the NCAA. He's seen different personnel come and go. He's worked for different people. All of that kind of combined into, the hurricane of what is Verge Ausberry right now is going to be fun to kind of sit down and talk to. And, really we're coming off of the heels, Will, of, in my opinion, maybe the best press conference LSU football has experienced in the last 25 years. When you talk about a breath of fresh air that was exhaled by Lane Kiffin on Wednesday when he met with the media, which was – you used to be signing day, right?
It's certainly not now.
It's not anymore. I mean, it still is, but it's not.
No,
it doesn't mean what it used to. But I really believe that press conference has sound bites that will live on forever. In Lane Kiffin's tenure at LSU, when he comes and goes from LSU, you will see clips from yesterday's press conference for the life of Lane Kiffin in LSU.
Yeah, it's just the certain things that he talks about. It's just different here. There's so many different, like you said, so many different clips to where it's like, this guy, who are you?
It really is, man.
And have you been, it's like he's been here forever. It's so comfortable, and he's kind of a little odd, quirky, but I think that makes him work. He gets fired up, and it's cool. It's cool to watch.
He reminds me a ton of Will Wade. In the sense of, and I don't mean this, it's like a little bit on the spectrum of the sense of
is it?
they're in their own world. They have no concern about what people's opinions, what their thoughts, what people feel about them. They are driven and motivated by what they believe in, and they don't let anything get in their way. And you feel that with Kiffin. And I thought the best answer that I heard yesterday, and I know Brandon's going to pull this at some point, and we'll hear it, but is when he was asked about the recruitment of Levitt. And I believe it was Shea Dixon from 1-3 who asked him specifically about what that was. And that feathered into his mentality of he doesn't take no. When he hears no, he kicks it into another competitive gear. And if it means walking to Knoxville Airport, he's not going to fail. Nothing's going to stop him.
It's
kind of a Louisiana way.
And a Louisiana way. That's what you want in a head coach. And it honestly reminds me of Jay Johnson a little bit in the recruiting aspect. But you want somebody who's got that fire, who's going to go out and get the QB, who's going to go out and get that top recruit whatever way possible. And that's how it goes in Louisiana. If you want something, let's go get it. Let's do it.
I had no idea about that part. I mean, really, for the last coaching cycle when Brian Kelly was hired, I was all in on Lane Kiffin. I thought he was the guy, and the reason was only because of his offense. I thought he was going to, you'll have a quarterback. You'll always have somebody that's going to compete. I didn't know that he was going to culturally fit into Louisiana,
especially this fast.
Perfect.
And
it's a glass shoe that he has slipped into almost perfectly, in the sense of when you hear him speak, it's a breath of fresh air. It's so relatable. He feels like he is one of the, it feels like he's one of the state's person running the football program. And I know that there's always been this pushback of, hey, he's one of us, or pick somebody who fits in. And fit doesn't have to mean all of it, but as the last 3 hires specifically within LSU football has proven, fit matters.
Fit matters.
It matters, right? Like, I mean,
and here especially, like Louisiana is like just different.
It is,
you know, in every aspect, whether it's sports or drinking, you know, whatever it is, hunting, fishing, who cares? And he fits that mold already, which is scary as to what's coming.
I agree.
I think it's scary.
I think that what we heard yesterday from his press conference was, I don't think people were ready for that.
No.
You know, I don't think that people were ready to be, so engulfed by him because of just how honest and loose and transparent he is, all the while keeping protection of the program.
Yeah.
You know, like it's always feel like it's protected, but he lets you in. His explanation of why he does it. You know, I thought when he explained why he gets up every day, and it doesn't matter whether he was the Alabama offensive coordinator, whether he was the USC head coach, Tennessee head coach, LSU, Ole Miss, he's doing it for that program, for those people, for the fans, for the people that he's working for, and you feel that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if you follow his social media, he's up every day before 5.
Right.
He's in the office. He's constantly showing and promoting the program in his own way. Right. People may look at his social media and think like,
is this a 12-year-old?
What is all this? But to see like an LSU hat on somebody's knee on a golf course in the Virgin Islands, you're like,
it keeps you wondering.
The whole time you're just curious about where it is and where it's going. Yeah. But it all comes back to LSU football.
Right. Always.
It always comes back to the brand.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. The way he goes about, like, even the social media piece is so like, kind of like, what's going on? Did somebody give a 12-year-old his phone?
Yeah.
Like, but that's cool. And it keeps people on their toes and like excited about LSU football. And I think that's part of the reason he's doing that.
Yeah.
It's just unique. Like, people don't do that, especially as a head coach. Like, and then you see the basketball goals back in the player room. Like, it's just a fire, and the emotion that he's bringing to the program is so special.
One of my favorite answers, without question, was what he said about Corey Raymond. Yeah. Because that was another sign and almost like another qualifier of like, man, this dude gets it. It's like, how long have LSU football fans, at least the ones that really have paid attention to the sport, the recruiting, the development, the on-the-field coaching, have always said Corey Raymond is a no-brainer for anybody who takes this job.
He has to be here.
Like, he has to be on the staff.
It was never a question for him.
It was never a question. And his answer, I don't think anybody could have described it any better. I mean, like, his just roll off the tongue of like, no-brainer. Yeah. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Like
what are y'all talking about?
What do you mean? Like, all you have to do is look at, and then his answer of, it really kind of related to Saban, as Saban would say, look, if you can get somebody on staff that you can recruit to him, like, hey, do you want to come play defensive back for Corey Raymond? And then you meet Corey Raymond, and he still recruits you as if he recruited Patrick Peterson, or recruited some of these, greedy, like some of these guys that came through here that you're like, man, I'm sitting in the presence of the dude, and he's treating me
just like them,
like I'm one of them.
Exactly. And that just creates a winning freaking culture.
How powerful.
So powerful. I'm telling you.
It's it was in my opinion, and I hate to speak in these vacuums and speak in certainties, but as I was sitting there listening to it and watching it, I mean, you're like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, for as much as the LSU football coach, communication matters.
Yeah.
Your ability to communicate with the fans, with your players, with your staff, all of that really matters. And some of the biggest pieces of pushback I know that I've had about the LSU football coach is like the curiosity of, can they communicate within?
Right.
Like, I mean, Les Miles would leave you kind of like,
what's going on?
Do you understand?
Yeah.
I mean, do you get what he's trying to say? And in his own way, he was successful.
Right.
Ed Ogeron had his own way of communicating. Brian Kelly, to his, to his point, had his own way of kind of communicating. It wasn't for everybody. And not to say that Lane's is going to appease everyone, but it's very easy to accept the way that he communicates. Yeah. He's very honest, it feels like. He's very forthright. He's not hiding anything.
Right.
And he's very convicted in where he speaks. It's just, when he speaks, I believe he believes what he's saying.
Right, exactly.
Right? Like, and that to me, if I'm working for him, if I'm playing for him,
if I'm a fan of him,
absolutely. If I'm even his boss, like we'll talk to Verge, I'll ask him how it's refreshing his communication has to be.
Right. He's just convicted in everything he says.
Yeah.
And if you can do something with conviction, in a program as a head coach in whatever role, that goes a long way for the people around you, I think.
And then the ability to weigh the expectations, because even in my own right now, I mean, I'm sure some people will watch this and be like, "Yo, bro, pump the brakes." Call him. He hadn't called a play yet. You know what I mean? And I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. And I agreed with him in the way that he described what they've accomplished up to this point.
Right.
Of saying, look, you hadn't won a game.
Yeah.
Nobody's won anything, and the real way you're going to be judged in his position is the outcomes of the scoreboard.
Right.
Up until this point, he's passed every test.
Yeah.
He's checked every box.
And that's all you can do right now is what's going on right now. Like he's winning right now.
Exactly.
Win the moment, and so he's winning in everything that he's done so far, and winning on the scoreboard is the next part of that, and who knows? It's coming.
Like, to paint the description of kind of an example of what I'm talking about is when he was asked, like, what have you made of kind of the surroundings of the LSU football program since you've gotten here? And he was very honest. He said, look, I wasn't drawn to Baton Rouge.
Right.
I'm here because of the football program.
Yeah, exactly.
But now, since I've been here and learning some of the things that the city has to offer, whether it's the restaurants, the people, but going back to talking about how he always loved recruiting the state of Louisiana and meeting people that obviously understood football, but really kind of lived football. I think that's the difference of Louisiana compared to the rest of the SEC states. That, look, I don't believe for a second that people may love football more than one other state. I think in Louisiana, it's just a little different because people live it.
Yeah, it's almost hard to explain a little bit.
It is.
But it's just a feeling almost.
Right.
That you get from that Louisiana sense. It's like, man. And you look at all the pro players you get from Louisiana, from LSU. It's a hell of a lot more than other places.
I mean, you look at Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
I mean, Super Bowl Sunday. And I believe LSU, Michael Bonnet tweeted out, it's a great stat. I believe LSU leads all of Power 4 D1 programs in the streak of representation in the Super Bowl, and it dates back to Kevin Falk. It goes back to Falk 25 years ago. He was the the one who started the representation of LSU in the Super Bowl. And you look up this Sunday, and I mean, there are Tigers on all sides of the ball, both teams. And big players too, guys that are going to make going to have a real chance to make an impact. And it was to have all of that aligned right now with Kiffin leading the program. To me, it's still a little surreal.
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, there was a little bit of watching that press conference, kind of like, pinch me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's here.
Is this real? This dude is wearing the colors in the football program, in the building, giving the press conference and speaking of LSU like you've always believed LSU needed to be spoken of.
Right.
I mean, it feels like LSU is back at the table.
We got the bullets
where they're supposed to be sitting.
Yeah, exactly. Head of the table, king of the castle.
Yeah.
And for LSU to have the bullets and have the bullets in the backstock too, have all the resources, that's dangerous game.
It is.
Dangerous game.
It is. So. Stick around with us here on Louisiana Loaded. We're going to talk to Verge Ausberry, who is LSU's athletics director. We're also going to give you our Super Bowl pick. Willie's got some big plans for Mardi Gras coming up.
Yes, indeed.
We have had some mayors of some local southern Louisiana cities reach out to the Louisiana Loaded podcast, which will be down there experiencing Carnival Time and Fat Tuesday all coming up. So we'll tell you all about that coming up here on Louisiana Loaded podcast. Make sure you are liking, following, subscribing, all of the social media. If you have not done that on YouTube, we appreciate the viewership on the first Louisiana Loaded podcast. Continue to spread the discussion that we will be here every single week. We appreciate you finding us, and we'll be right back with LSU Athletics Director Verge Ausberry. Welcome back into Louisiana Loaded podcast as we are joined by a special guest here, Director of Athletics, Verge Ausberry, who joins us on this edition of Louisiana Loaded. It's great to see you, man. Congratulations.
And great to see you, too. I always had great times interviewing with you in the past, and I'm glad you're back in it.
I appreciate it, man. And speaking of what's changed since the last time I've been in it.
Quite a bit.
A lot has changed. A lot has changed. It was much more easier and comfortable, and I was like, I go where I want, do what I want, and eat what I want, and lounge.
Hey, look, there's Verge Ausberry now.
That's right. That's right. No place to hide.
When you set out, when you got this job over 20 years ago, did you set out to be an AD?
Jordan, I was really set out to be one. I always thought I could be one.
Yeah.
I had many opportunities to move on, go different places. And I thought about my family. And I know how hard this business is on families, on coaches, on administrators, and moving all around the country. And I decided I moved up here, and it's very fortunate that doesn't happen too much at the same place.
Yeah.
I was very blessed. I tell people, they always say, Verge, this is something that you've been working towards. And I got it at the right time, I tell people. But as you know both of my kids, they're both Division I athletes, and they played football and basketball and track and every other sport you name when they were growing up. I got to see them grow up.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that.
Yeah.
This takes a lot of family time. And now, they're in their junior and senior years. Now, I probably won't be able to go see them play.
Right.
Unless I have an open date here, of an open weekend here, something to go to. So I was so blessed that I watched my children grow up and be a part of their lives. So I got the job at the right time.
I still remember, I believe it was Jaden's 10th birthday, where the DBU, Tyrann Mathieu, Eric Reed, all those cats were at his birthday party when he was growing up. They were such LSU growing up. How is it watching them kind of prosper? I know Austin came back here, but it's got to be a great point of view.
Austin went to Baylor this year for his last year, but they grew up here, and Louisiana's their home and family. I didn't get involved in their process at all. I wanted to be their process, and their lifestyles. They don't have to do what Daddy did.
Yeah.
And so when they were growing up, we would go take nice trips in the summer, and then we'd take another trip called academic trip. Just go visit universities all over the country. They grew up on a college campus. They grew up at the student union. They grew up on the parade ground. They grew up in Tiger Stadium. They grew up around all the great players. I wanted them to have their own identity, not Verge Ausberry's children. That's why they name them after me.
Yeah.
I wanted them to have their own identities and to do what they wanted to do in life, and expand their horizons. And we exposed them to a lot. Their mother and I growing up, and we just want them to have the best.
Yeah. I think you're the right guy for the job because of your experience. You played in the 80s. You've been administrator since the early 2000s. You've seen everything that LSU has been through since that time, and you've also seen college sports evolve into where it is now. Where is it right now?
There's a lot of uncertainty. But I tell people with uncertainty, though, there's a lot of opportunity. And we're gonna get this thing straight. It is very difficult right now. There's so many things. There's not much regulation right now. The court systems is running right now. You don't have much with Congress, congressional not helping as much as we thought we could. They're trying to, but they haven't got a bill passed yet. You're talking about collective bargaining. You're talking about all these different things that we're trying to pull together and try to figure it out. And everybody's trying to figure it out, not just us. And right now, we have to definitely watch just the cost of things and, where this money is coming from. You have donor fatigue. You have NIL donor fatigue. You just have a lot of fatigue. You got to be careful how much you go up on ticket prices, those type of things. And this year we had ticket increase. We pulled it back a little bit. We might have to come back to it again later in the future here. Yeah. But all those type of things are very, very, you have to be very careful with now. You almost have to look at all your sports. When Skip Bertman, Mark Emmert, and they were here, it was like, okay, we want to win at everything. LSU's going to be great. And we still want that because we have such a strong brand. And to keep that brand out there, we want the best brands, the best valuations of all sports and college sports. But at the same time, now we got to start looking at costs. TAF has done very well of helping us out over the 10 years. They've been there for us. I tell people TAF has really supported the operations of the athletic department. But really, we get to a point where, we even tapping them out. We've got to start pulling back a little bit. We got to start solving our own problems. And we have to come up with a plan. The good thing with a president like Dr. Rusi is a businessman. A guy who worked on Wall Street, worked in finances. He understands about finances and how we do things. So everything is on the table right now. Some people talk about PE firms. Some people about taking out loans, things like that. How we close this gap so we could be good financial stewards of the money for our fans.
Yeah.
Does a school like LSU look in the reality of private equity? I mean, you feel like one of the schools that can sustain it for a bit, right?
We don't want to go that direction, but you have to put everything on the table now. You can't be like, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this. That day is pretty much gone. So we have to look at everything and put it on the table. When you buy coaches, people don't understand that's a very expensive transaction.
Yeah.
Okay? You have one staff you're buying out, not only the head coach, you have assistant coaches on there, and then you bring in a whole staff, and you got the head coach and all of his staff members. So that transaction is very expensive. People don't understand that. So before we get to the point where we're going to make a change with coaches, we got to be very careful where we are, especially financially. Yeah. And also, you got to look at all your sports across the board. Where are we going to be good at? Can we be good at everything like we used to be? I don't know. Maybe we could compete well, do well, but you know what? They don't be in the national championship hunt, they don't be in it. But football has to be good at LSU. Yeah. Football has to be in that hunt. We want all our major sports, the basketballs, the women's basketballs, baseball, we want them to be there. Gymnastics, softball, we want them to be in that hunt. All those supposed to be in the hunt. But sometimes, they might not be there, but they might get close to it. And that's how we're going to try to manage this thing. And right now, you have to be very, very careful financially. You see, everybody's in the same boat. Mm-hmm. It's not just LSU. We're not top-heavy in the department. We don't have a lot of administrators. It's all our personnel going to the coaches and the athletes.
Yeah. One of the steps that you took towards football being relevant and being a winner was going out and getting the best coach that it seemed like everybody wanted who had a vacancy, anybody who had an opening, and it seemed like some schools that didn't have openings were trying to talk to him. Tell me about landing Lane Kiffin and now what the expectation is of the football program now that he's in and set.
There's a lot going on. We made this decision to make the change. And there was a lot going on after that.
Yeah.
And it became, Verge, make a change. You're the AD now. Go find us a football coach. And in the circumstances, we were going for the best guy. I felt that we could get the best person out there. We got a coach. This is the first time in the history of LSU we got the first guy that we wanted to get and go after.
Oh, wow.
We never had that.
Wow.
Out of all the coaches we've had, some very good coaches in there, that was the guy that we targeted and said, this is the guy we want. We had a lot of other great coaches we talked to, but this is the guy that we felt that the right time at the right place, this was Lane Kiffin's time. Yeah. And it's the guy that I wanted to have in the program. And we knew there was a lot of openings. And if you notice, all the jobs stayed open until we made the pick.
It did.
And that was the good thing.
LSU, maybe.
Everybody was going to pivot off of your play.
Us. That was the play. He was the best, out there. You see what his teams have done. Now, I've watched him for a long time, and it was the right timing for him also. Yeah. His personal life, he talks about those things.
Yeah.
It was the right time for him, the right time for his family. Team that, his team went to the Final Four in the college football playoffs. Not many times you get a championship coach to come to LSU. But that's the brand, that's the power of LSU. And that's for our fans and the people, the Tiger Athletic Foundation, our donors, our corporate sponsors. That's the powerful brand LSU has, where now people want to be a part of us. 33,000 people right now on the waiting list this early with tickets, okay? That's early. We up 25 to 30% in corporate sponsorships already. Tiger Athletic Foundation percentages are way up in fundraising and donations. So that hire, that's how important that hire is to LSU and how many people want to be involved with our brand. I can't wait to see the enrollment numbers, application numbers, people applying to your school and institution. But look what Nick Saban did at Alabama. This is the kind of transition that's happening right now at LSU. There's a lot of positive energy around that campus right now.
Nick Saban was a mentor to you. He's a good friend of yours, I know. He's also a mentor to Lane Kiffin, and it's obvious that he is somebody that Kiffin leaned on during this process. How much did that kind of pop up?
Nick and I talk a lot, just about a lot of different things, even before this even came about. But, he's a good sounding board. I had other people out there who was good sounding boards to me that I talked to. Jerry Sullivan being another one of the best offensive minds in the business. His son right now is the general manager of the Miami Dolphins.
Wow.
John Ryan, who grew up with us in the football building. But, you have to talk to a lot of football people. There's a lot of football people I had a chance to visit with and talk to in the NFL. And when I mentioned his name, it was like, that's the guy. I also use our former players, the Ryan Clarks, the Boogie McFarlands, and Marcus Spears. One thing about them, those guys are not only out there, they're watching teams practice, they watch things that's going on, and every one of them, I mentioned guys' names, okay, I said, Lane Kiffin, that's your guy. There was no hesitation, you know. And Booger McFarland, Lane grew up with Booger.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin, his daddy coached at Tampa Bay with all those great football players. He said, Verge, you know, you get him, that's the guy. So they were talking to him too, because of their relationships. And I had a lot of extra people just saying what LSU was and what it meant to be at LSU. And I think he deep down knew that himself. When he says different, it's different.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. He has proven how different it is. I mean, I don't know if he planned to say that at the opening press conference, but the way that it is just played out has been incredible. And he said it, I thought, best yesterday. Will and I were discussing it in the opening segment. He hadn't won a game yet. He hadn't called a play yet. Everything up to this point feels like he has accomplished and succeeded in being here. And it feels like he has a lot of the respect because it's LSU that it's happening. It's kind of the perfect marriage of what you talked about.
He has a system. And like you said yesterday in his press conference, you know, it doesn't mean we're going to win the first game. Yeah. But, you know, we have the opportunity to. Now you have to put the things together. Now you have to work hard. Now you have to practice. Now you have to make this a physical team. You know, we lost some of that. Yeah. We weren't physical. We had great athletes, but we wasn't a physical team. We didn't do what LSU was built off of. We didn't run the football. We didn't attack the line of scrimmage. As a football guy, that's what I was watching. We're not physical. We're good, but we're not physical. And you have to run the ball. You have to be successful. All great teams run the ball. And I watched him. I watched him how he called plays. He's a play caller. You know, he and Lil Charlie Weiss, offensive coordinator, I mean, they're two of the best offensive minds in the business. We were able also to keep the defense side of the ball. The Blake Bakers, the Corey Ramers, the Peoples, we kept those guys on the defense side of the ball. So that's how well, you know, he worked in putting this thing together. He has a plan, and that's what you have to talk about. You know, coach have a plan, and how you merge this together in the chemistry of all these people you brought in with the current players, the freshmen, the rookies, and the people that you brought in, how you merge this and put the chemistry together to have a great football team.
Yeah, I mean, like even outside of the whole football thing, I'm a Louisiana culture guy, and it seems like as soon as he came in here, him and the Louisiana culture just meshed together. I mean, and it was just is something that it's refreshing to see. I'm sure it's refreshing to you. You know,
did you know you were getting that part too?
Yeah,
I heard about it, but I got to see it. You know, all the tweets, and some people say, "Boy, he's on that Twitter a lot." But you know what though? He's not only talking to his players; he's talking to the next generation.
Yeah.
I know we're old. You know, we like, oh, Twitter. I'm not going to Twitter and all that. But you know, that's communication, and also it shows how close he is to Louisiana.
Yeah.
The culture here. He's accepting the culture. He loves it here. He loves to go out to the restaurants. He loves to go out to the places here. He loves to visit places here. He really loves this place in Louisiana. Yeah. And that's what we want the coach to do here. Accept the culture, accept who we are here in Louisiana. Yeah. And I think our fans love it. They love personalities in Louisiana.
100%.
Oh, my gosh, they love it.
You love the kill market personality.
Yes.
You know, you love the past governors and the governors we've had personalities.
Yeah.
We're a state of great personalities. And he fits right in with that mode.
I agree. Last one on football and Lane here. One thing I've always loved about you is you've always talked about LSU like it's a winner. It should be a winner. When it's winning, that's where it's supposed to be. When it's not winning, something needs to change. It feels like the conversations now is that LSU's back at that table that you've always assumed they were at. It seems like they have that cachet to them with him.
You know, we're one of the best in the country. And why we're one of the best, we have our own base. You know, we don't compete with anybody. We have another school in the state of Louisiana. I tell people that, you know, Georgia has Georgia Tech, but it's still a university. It's UGA in Georgia. Ohio State is Ohio State. And, you know, those are three of the biggest brands and biggest football institutions there is right there. Those are the big three. Everybody else is competing by somebody else. So a lot of teams around them to get to that point. LSU, every year, we should be, like I said, knocking on the door for the college football playoffs. And every 3 or 4 years, you play that national championship game. Yeah. But everything with the NIL today, things change. You're going to be the anomalies like the Indianas coming in, older team, things of that nature. I don't think you see as much transfer portal next year, but now he's building it up. He's recruited freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and now the kids can go through the system. This year we had to really tear everything down and build it back up again. Yeah. I tell people, you know, we were 7-6. Nothing to be proud of. Right. Everybody said, well, we had this guy, these guys leaving. I'm like, okay, what we lost? You know, great people, but bottom line, we were 7-6, and that's not good at LSU. We can't do that. You know, we have to win. We need to win. And LSU football needs to be good. It's great for the city of Baton Rouge. It's great for the state of Louisiana. It's great for the economy of all those places. LSU football wins, we all win in the state.
Do you regret saying that LSU football needs to be in the playoff every year?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. No, hey, Ohio State, they do it every year. Georgia does it every year. I mean, that's where I think we need to be. Yeah. And I think it's time to build it up. He's new coming in, and hopefully we get there next year. But, hey, the chemistry has to come together. But I feel that, we have the possibility here at LSU to be in there every year. With the players we've recruited here, the players we have, and the players you have in the state of Louisiana, if you lock the state down, you'll do okay.
One of the forgotten times, or I think one of the times that people don't realize was happening on campus, was an administrative golden age under Skip Bertman. Mm-hmm. It had you, Dan Radakovich, it had Chris Howard, who's now running a part of the NCAA, Eddie Nunez, who's now at the University of Houston, Herb Vincent, who's now running the SEC with Greg Sankey. What was that time like, and what's those relationships like now with guys that you forget that was a 5-year run on campus where that was a lot of brain power.
we had a lot of good people there. You had Judy Southern, you had Miriam Seagar that was there, part of that team. You had Mark Ewan, our CFO, who came from the campus, who's the most important person. He kept everything together financially for us. And you had Bo Bonson, who was in compliance there. Which is the hardest job on campus. Bo, everybody be bad with Bo, but no Bo. But hey, that's a hard job. I started under Bo, so I understand that I was his GA. We're great friends today. And we were in Las Vegas at the Football Hall of Fame, and we all took a picture together. Chris Howard, Eddie Nunez, Herb, and Dan, and we sent it to Skip. Yeah, and that's our boys. And I take Skip to lunch probably every 2 to 3 months. He's my neighbor. But Skip, learning from Skip really taught us a lot. And it was funny sometimes, but he taught us a lot. And Skip taught us how you surround yourself with good people. And Skip taught us how to deal with the coaches. And Skip taught us how to deal with people. I don't walk in, I'm the boss. Okay, that was bad. You walk in as I work with everybody. We work together. And you help the coach. When Lane told you what I told him, and Jay Johnson say what I say, when I walk to them is, how could I help you? Mm-hmm. How can I make it better? How can I make it better for the student athletes? They're the most important people, the coaches, and then us as administrators. I always say the athletes are the movie stars. The coaches are the producers. And we're the financial backers. That's what we do. We support, we come in and say, how the movie is going, how the actors are doing. Mm-hmm. And we want those people to be successful. If they're successful, that's okay. That goes in what I do. My work going to be, determined by how they do. Yeah. I'm not making a tackle anymore. I'm not shooting a basketball anymore. I'm not, hitting a baseball. I'm not kicking a soccer ball. Those coaches out there that do what they do, that's the important part of it. And that's why, we put a lot into, I tell administrators, go visit the practices. Know your players. Know your coaches. Be around so if something's there, they can bring it to you where it won't be a surprise or they're not happy and we don't know about it.
Is the facilities race, is the facilities arms race still as fierce as it once was?
No, I don't think so anymore. I think it was. I think that's one of the changes in athletics now with the NIL portion. I mean, you're dealing with the third party, the agents most of the time, and nobody coming in and saying, okay, I want to see your weight room anymore. Yes. Let's negotiate this contract and see where we are in the NIL portions. I think that's the big part of it today, where it's not dealing with all the
materialistic.
Facilities. Yeah.
Right.
Now, you want your facilities to be okay. It'd be nice, and we're going to still upgrade when we have to upgrade. As you know, the new basketball arena is something we're working on, a good plan. I think we're in a pretty good place right now, something that we need to do. We have to do for our sports, also for the city of Baton Rouge, and also for LSU. You look at our campus, we really don't have a front porch for our students to go to. Yeah. And that's going to be an entertainment district out there with the help of Our Lady of the Lake and other people who are working on this here. But a great entertainment area and district for our students to go to and a safe zone for all of our students on campus.
You mentioned in today's world, there almost becomes like a priority of sports. You got to be good at football, right? You got to be relevant. How do you evaluate your men's basketball program?
Game by game, and over the long haul, the program where we are, and it's very important to us. And I think one thing, as an administrator, and Skip taught us, don't rush into anything. Don't make emotional decisions. Yeah. And you make emotional decisions that usually come back and bite you somewhere. So the thing is, you sit there, you take your time, you evaluate it. I look at it. He lost 2 of his best players to injuries. I think the record is totally different now if those 2 guys are there. Vanderbilt's going to be a tough game. Florida's a great basketball team.
Yeah.
We played Vanderbilt well.
I mean, defending national champs.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, right.
The thing I watch about our basketball team, too, they didn't quit. They hadn't quit. They keep playing every game, week in and week out. They're tough. You know, Arkansas on the road, tough game, ranked team. They got a chance to beat them here. They have a chance to play Georgia Saturday. That's going to be a good game. A ranked team again. They got that opportunity. So those are things you watching. As long as you don't see quitting on the field or the court, then you have to, your decisions like, okay, let me take a step back. And then you got to look at it also, Jordan, financially. Where are we financially on these things? Right. How much is it going to cost us? How much it costs to get rid of a staff? How much it costs us to bring in a whole staff? Then all of a sudden the NIL piece of that also. So all of that, people don't think these things are cheap, these changes. They're very expensive.
Right. And no money trees over there.
No, that's right.
Not yet.
We've tapped those trees out pretty much.
That's right.
not much money falling from the trees right now.
Huge one for the ladies tonight in Austin.
Yes.
Yeah,
big one. And they've been rolling. Huh?
Kim Mulkey is Kim Mulkey. I tell people, she's I've been blessed to work with 3 of the best ever to coach the game. Top 10 coaches in athletics.
That's right.
Especially in college athletics.
Skip Burton,
Skip Bertman, and Kim Mulkey.
Yeah.
I mean, Kim Mulkey can coach the football team. She can coach the soccer team. She can coach anything. She's a coach. I tell people, until you go to her practices and watch her, there's nothing like it. I mean, when you go, I went to Jay Johnson's practice the other day. He's going to be in that mode. There's nothing like it. The techniques he work on, base stealing, things of that nature. So when you have those type of coaches, they're great coaches. We go to Jay Clark's, the gymnastics coaches' practices. It's unbelievable. I go on and on about all the coaches' practices. I like to do that. Go to the practices, just watch them practice and see see if they're teaching. And most of our coaches are great teachers.
Yeah. The CSC came out and said there was a lot of nothing going on with LSU. They kind of hyped the story up to really break it down. Is there a governing body? Do you have somebody that you're looking over your shoulder at? Are you reporting to anybody?
Jordan, those are the things that we're trying to figure out too. What's CSC's role? And it's like going through TSA. Every airport you go through, there's a different answer. Right. And they're doing their jobs. So they're a small staff. They're trying to get it started up, and they've been very good with us. And that was concerning a tennis player and a women's basketball player. And really, it was just miscommunication, not on our part, but on their part. Mm-hmm. And that's what we try to figure out now. Everybody's trying to figure out what is right, what is wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that's the guidance, and they have a good staff, and they've been working with us. Zach Greenwell's been working very close with them on the do's and the don'ts. He's over part of our NIL area, and we just got to see how this thing comes about. But really, nobody knows. Nobody's really been punished yet. We don't know what tampering is. We don't know what's how you do some of these NIL deals, and nobody knows. And that's the thing that everybody's trying to figure out. Some people are still using collectives. Some people are not. So everybody's doing something different all over the country.
Is there internal discussion between you and your colleagues about the Big Ten getting 3 national championships, the last 3?
No, not really.
Uh-huh.
Not really. I think that's just the way, it happens. But you got to remember, they have, they're a competitive conference too. Mm-hmm. And we have to figure out what we're going to do to get better. And sometimes it's not all as a conference individually. How are we going to do, how LSU's going to get back up to that point. Mm-hmm. I think we got the guy. Georgia's going to be there. The Alabamas, the Tennessees, the Floridas, Texas teams. How are we going to stay at that top? And we got to compete. And with the playoffs, anything could happen.
Sure.
And I think there's a lot of parity now with NIL. The playing field is a lot equal right now in a lot of sports. But I think overall at SEC, we've done well. But now it's time to take it where we go from now.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the thing. Where do we progress from here, and where do we go, so we can get back to the top, and especially in football, where we need to be.
You have a comp on this home schedule coming up? It feels like this is one of the best ones as far as just viewership goes in a long time.
This is a great schedule for us. It falls right. The schedule. I like the schedule, to be honest with you. You have games on there, a lot of tough games in Baton Rouge, where it needs to be. But every game in the SEC is tough, and you have to play. One thing about our conference, we feel we got 7 great teams. The Big Ten, I think there's about 3, maybe 4.
Mm-hmm.
You put Penn State in there. Sometimes they were down this year. But, you look at the SEC, I think we have about 7 to 8 teams that could really compete for a title in this conference. And so we're a little deeper than everybody else. Are we the best? Everybody say, we're so deep. Well, I'm not going to say that. Mm-hmm. And there still need to be some time to evaluate that. But we're very good in this conference.
9-game schedule, help or hurt?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like the 9-game schedule. It helps out a lot. One thing we need to discuss is about those Power 4 opponents.
Yeah.
If the Big Ten doesn't have that, why are we still having that? I know our fans want to see the Clemson games and the big games, but the 9th SEC game makes a difference. And I look back at, how the CFP, graded teams. Michigan, Ohio State, Indiana didn't have a Power 4 opponent.
Yeah.
And they're the last 3 national champions.
Yeah.
So the question we have to ask ourselves is that this thing to continuously do? And that's part of a TV contract. So it's not a great sink and say, okay, we're going to just dissolve that today. That's going to be part of the process probably in the future talks we have with Disney and ESPN. But those are questions that we have to ask ourselves. Do we still need to do that? One time I was like, we got to play the big games. We got to play the big games. Right. It was 8. But now you get this opponent and you have 9 SEC games.
Yeah.
It changes a lot.
Have you and your staff had the opportunity to maybe drift of what a playoff game in December in Tiger Stadium would look like, feel like?
We want it. $4 million.
I want
to think and drift about it. Bring it on. Right. What day? What
Good
time?
Lord. I mean, those things look like absolute Camelot of college football.
And the Kappas work well with us also, but sometimes there's graduation could pop up in there, different things like that. Yeah. They're prepared to move some things, or finals and things like that going on.
Yeah.
So the campus has been very good with us at LSU, working around that if that was to happen. But we definitely would like to have that playoff game at Tiger Stadium.
It's awesome to see you around, man. I know that everywhere I look, you're courtside, you're field side, you're at practices, you're talking to coaches. I know that you are hands-on. I know a lot of your predecessors had hands-on recruiting. How do you deal with recruiting?
If they want to meet with a recruit, I meet with a recruit.
Yeah.
I like doing that. I was doing that already.
Yeah.
I met with a lot of recruits.
Sure.
I know a lot of these young men. The offensive lineman from Colorado, I drove it was like 10 o'clock at night. He was still here, and they wanted me to meet with him. And I'll meet with any recruit at any time. Coach Milk has meeting recruits. Coach Johnson has meeting recruits. Jay Clark, soccer coach, Sean Hudson. All of them had me meet with recruits before. And I love doing that. I love being around our coaches and our players. That's the only, we deal with a lot of problems as administrators. You deal with contracts, you deal with this problem, that problem. But, really we hear that part of that being an educator is still part in me, where you're teaching, you're helping young people be better leaders, better community leaders, better students, better people. That's still a part of me. That's where I started at. I deal with all the tough things every day, the problems, the issues in athletics. Working with student athletes, teaching, helping them, that's still who I am.
Great to see you, boss man.
Great to see you too, George.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
There he is. Verge Ausberry, the Director of Athletics at LSU. We're back with more Louisiana Loaded podcast.